Forget about the month. Forget about the year. Concentrate on the 24 hours directly in front of you at this moment, and do absolutely everything within your power to bring you closer to the destination you desire. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the tuition you pay. Every single person that you look up to has experienced failure more times than most people have even attempted anything. You need to keep in mind that failure is the investment required for mastery. It's entirely about how you choose to perceive it. Losers view failure as confirmation that they're incapable of winning. However, winners view failure as confirmation that they are in the process of learning. And that is precisely what I mean when I say you need to transform your perspective. Think of failure as the payment that you must make in exchange for growth. So, never attempt to avoid it. Like everyone else, you want to discover the path to winning, but never to embrace the path to losing, to embrace defeat. To learn to die is to be liberated from it. So when tomorrow arrives, you must liberate your ambitious mind and learn the art of dying. So here's the reality about becoming the superior version of yourself. In order to become the superior version of yourself, you literally have to eliminate your original version. Because if it remains around, it's going to locate you again. And that's the reality people don't comprehend. They're like, I'm searching for the superior version of myself. But in order to possess the superior version of yourself, you have to conduct a funeral for your old version. Greatness is constructed in silence. The isolated training sessions, the early cold mornings, the dark and late nights. Not for applause, not for praise, but to prove. To prove you're willing to suffer. To prove you're ready to sacrifice. To prove you're worthy of the dream, because greatness isn't given. It's earned, and ours no one sees. At the conclusion of every day, you look yourself in the mirror and you ask yourself, did I get better today? The answer is yes. And you do that for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. How much better are you going to be? Are you getting better every single day? That's the question, right? And it's just taking small steps. You don't attempt to get it all accomplished in one day, in 1 week, 1 year, right? It's the process of getting better every day and doing that for a period of years. Brother, I'm convinced every man experiences a moment in his life where quitting would feel a lot like peace. But reality, just the devil attempting to convince you, you're not worth your purpose. Don't stop. The only way to live is know you're going to die. If you're afraid to die, you'll never be able to live. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Go for the discipline because it weighs ounces. The regret weighs tons because it can accumulate. Proud of how you've been showing up lately. There's a lot on your plate, no doubt. And it might feel like you're falling behind, but you're not. You're overcoming stressful situations. You're fighting for your mental health. You're doing your best. The only thing you're falling behind on is giving yourself the credit you deserve, because at any given moment, you're doing way better than your inner critic would like to admit. You have a plan and you have a process. When opposition, adversity, challenges, uncertainty appears, the problem doesn't look as big. The adversity doesn't look as big. The challenges don't look as big. When you got a plan and a process in place. Now, when you don't got a plan and a process in place, adversity and opposition shows up. Uncertainty shows up. Problems look real big. Adversity looks real big. You forget about the sacrifice. You forget about the long hours. You forget about the vision. You forget about the mission because you don't have a plan or process, right? The process makes you stick to whatever it is that you're doing. How bad do you want it? We all know when we relax exactly the person you want to become. The question is, do we believe we can become it? Without that belief, every journey will run into a debate. That debate. So when pain starts to fill the body, you weigh the temporary pain versus a lifetime of pride. Champions discover a way to make it happen. No matter how long it takes, they discover a way. Champions discover a way to get through their nerves. So don't be ashamed to say you're nervous, but discover a way to get over it. Passion in the drive has to be followed by an action. That's the hardest part. People don't want to have that action. Dreams want to live just like everybody else. And if you don't bring them to life, somebody else will. And you're going to be sitting there back thinking, man, I could have, I should have, I would have. Boy, you had your chance. You got to deliver. You got to have action. You got to deliver. Ever tried, ever failed. No matter, try again, fail better. The world is yours. You could either do the work today to become your highest version tomorrow, or tomorrow you can feel a lifelong of regret. That's a given. The people who recognize that they were meant for more and didn't go for more end up with a lifelong state of regret. And the reason for that is because they didn't want to hurt the people around them. Didn't want to hurt family members, but instead they gave in to the life of average just so they can blend in and not stand out. And years later they regret not doing the things that they could have done to become a winner. We often don't realize we're in control. We're in control of our own lives and we can make different choices. And if the things in our life are not bringing us joy and happiness, if our career that we've devoted all of our lives to isn't bringing us joy, we can change them. If we decide our relationship is not the right relationship, we don't have to suffer in that relationship. Stay in your comfort zone. That's why you will fail. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. You will fail in your comfort zone. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So, you gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful. Ask yourself, what do you really want? What do you really want? I mean down inside. If you could have anything you want, what do you really want? Let your mind take off. You're a creative being. There's nothing on the planet that's like you. Give me evidence that you're not qualified to go get that. Give me evidence that you're not qualified for a great life. You have none. You are ultra qualified. No one can tell us what we're capable of except us. And when we believe these truths, it's over. You're unkillable. You have the ability to take a sledgehammer to anything in your life and remake it. Life is clay, so long as you realize that you can mold it and shape it and change it to do what you want to do. If you knew what you were doing, then you would be stagnating because you'd be doing nothing new. And so if you're going to do something new, then that is what would be the catalyst for growth. And so you can't want to grow and also want to know everything you're doing at the same time. It's like the two beliefs contradict one another. And so I think that's a lot of the discontent that people suffer from is they want two things that are polar opposites. They want the really strong character. They want the easy life. Like one is the price of the other. You don't want hardship. Hardship creates growth. And so they want both. And you can't. Use the word destiny over and over throughout the book. What does that mean to you? It's a feeling you have that you know something about yourself nobody else does. The picture you have in your mind of what you're about will come true. It's kind of a thing you kind of have to keep to your own self because it's a fragile feeling and you put it out there, somebody will kill it. So it's best to keep that all inside. Revisit your dream. You know, it doesn't cost anything to dream. And our dreams need auditing as you go into this next year. It shouldn't just be doubling down on the same dream. Really take some time and evaluate your real purpose. D. Moody said, "Our greatest fear should not be that we fail. Our greatest fear should be that we succeed at something that doesn't matter." And so if you really believe what you're doing matters, it gives you a peace through turmoil, through difficulty, through ups and downs. I've failed in the attempt to do something that matters. I can live with that. You do realize that this could be the year that you transform your life. You just log in. Me and you both know you didn't stick to the script last year. But it's okay though, because this year we're going for everything that we lost and more. We ain't hearing the excuses no more. Your future is tired of that. You're the only one that can make it right. But you also the only person that can mess it up. Lock in and change your life like your life depends on it, because it do. Understand that 2025 is right around the corner, and if you want to make the most of it, this is what you're going to do. Work on your personal craft, because it is only through a project that you are genuinely able to improve. And most importantly, take action, because you will accomplish nothing unless you go out there and will it into existence. If you're able to do all of those, I guarantee that you will have the best year of your life. How much did they first pay you to give up on your dreams? 27 grand a year. And when were you going to stop and come back and do what makes you happy? Question. I see guys who work at the same company for their entire lives. Guys exactly like you. They clock in, they clock out, and they never have a moment of happiness. You have an opportunity here, Bob. This is a rebirth. I think having a purpose is that thing that makes us tick, that gets us up every day and gets us over the hump of opposition and adversity. And the reason that I champion adversity and opposition is because I think for the most part in life, people pretty much know what to do when things go right. Right? Like when things go right, they know how to feel. They know how to act, how to react. But it's when that opposition and that adversity comes and it creates a level of misunderstanding. Right now, the vision is blurred. Now you don't have clarity about what you're supposed to do. Now you question if your existence matters. And I think when you have a purpose is powerful, because in the midst of the opposition, it makes you realize that you've been put here for a certain reason. If you make yourself more than just a man, if you devote yourself to an ideal, and if they can't stop you, then you become something else entirely. Legend has this: you can't fear change. In one of the beautiful passages in meditation, Marcus Aurelius reminds himself that everything in life comes from change, good and bad. And by trying to keep things the same, not only are you, of course, focused on something that you don't control, but you are preventing yourself from all the wonderful opportunities that exist that could come your way. We live in a time of disruption. We live in a time of institutions that are falling apart. We live in a time of innovation, new institutions that are being created. So you can't fear what's going to come of that. The Stoics say all you could focus on this year is embracing those things, adapting yourself to change, acquiescing to that change rather than fighting it, rather than fearing it, rather than resenting it, because it's going to happen regardless of how you feel about it. So what you should focus on, as Stoics would say, is what you're going to do about it. Life is hard on the good days when you expect so much of yourself, and when the bad days come around, keeping the promises feels almost impossible. I wish I could explain to you the pit in my stomach in those moments, but I'm not sure I have the right words, to be honest. Somehow I always see the other side of the promise kept, though. And the difficult part is that it doesn't provide the relief you'd hope it would. My only consolation at times is that I know I did the right thing to maintain who I am, because that is the one thing I cannot let myself lose. One guy I came up with to be frustrated. He always wins. Stay hard. The year is almost over. It's been a tough year, right? But we're not going to talk about that right now. This is for making it through this tough year. There's been a lot of good and bad, but I'm happy that you've made it this far and that you're still here. Thank you for hanging in there, and I'm proud of you for staying strong. If you wish to be the king of the jungle, it's not enough to act like a king. You must be the king. There can be no doubt, because doubt causes chaos in one's own demise. Start something you believe in and give it everything you have. Not for the applause, not for the outcome, but because it's yours. Focus on the work. Let it consume you. Take small steps every day and watch how they compound. What feels impossible now becomes inevitable over time. Forget perfection. Forget shortcuts. Mastery lives in repetition, and the timeline for greatness is a lifetime. Patience, and you come out the other side and you realize how much you grew through that. You start becoming grateful, right? One, you become grateful for what you just went through. You become grateful for the past experiences. But also, you become grateful for when you are going through tough situations in the future, because you understand that literally the situation and the season I'm in right now is developing me in a certain way that maybe I can't see right now. But I know that if I keep showing up, keep taking it day by day, step by step, moment by moment, I'm going to come out a better version of myself. Man, I'm grateful for that. Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in a world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact. It's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration. It's a dare. So I know why you go on Instagram. I know why because you just have the time. You have the time because you don't want to put that time into bettering oneself. You start going after your goals and you start achieving them. People will start looking at you differently, and secretly they will start hoping that you fail, because it will make them feel better about the action they have never taken. Progression is an ugly road that leads to a beautiful place. And the sad thing about that quote that's true is most people never get to that beautiful place because they never persevere. They give up before it's their time. They quit before they see they break through. That's why I love a breaking point. Because at a breaking point, that fork in the road, you got a choice. You can break down or you can break through. And when you choose to break through, those adversities strengthen you. All those things that have come against you, it strengthens you. That's why you got to find a meaning, a mission that carries you through this stage of resistance. Get started and stay consistent. You have things to share with the world that only you can deliver. But you'll never experience them if all you in your mind are doubts and excuses on why going after your dreams now isn't a good time. You have what it takes. Get out of your own way. Don't count yourself out yet. Everything you want to achieve is possible. It might take time, effort, and discipline, but it's all within reach. So if you're in the woods and you don't know where to go, start walking. You've got to start walking because the perspective is not going to change. You have to start moving forward. You have to start taking steps in order to improve your vision, improve your perspective, change your perspective, make some kind of progress. And worst case scenario, you figure out that you walked the wrong direction. Okay, now you can walk in the other direction, and that's going to be fine. But standing there lost and not doing anything is just waiting to die, waiting to starve to death. The only thing in life that stands between you and everything you've ever wanted to do is doing it. Not preparing to do it. Not scheduling time to do it. Not telling people you're going to do it. Not reading books about how to do it. Not watching videos about how to do it, but instead actually doing it. There's a saying, this quote that I really believe in, that when the pain of the current reality becomes greater than the fear of change, that's when we change. So like when you become that, when the pain becomes so intense that it's greater than the fear that you have of the unknown, then you'll go into the unknown. You can stand there at the door looking at this abyss, but when it becomes so painful that you walk into that, that's when the change happens. But there's a hell of a lot more to you than you think, like way more. Enough to cope with the trouble of the world inside you. There's enough to cope with the trouble of the world, and you, if you had enough courage, you could let that out. Enough courage and faith, you could let that out, and everything would be better because of it. Only fail because they get caught up into what winning was. You're supposed to fail at some point in time. You're supposed to get knocked down a couple times. You're supposed to lose. That's how you learn. Perfection is only a word because imperfection was discovered. You can't be perfect without knowing what imperfect is. You have to experience imperfection at some point to go, now I'm perfect. Go feel something is shifted. Some people are not strong enough to adapt to the change. Some people don't know how to put it into practice in order to go with the change. There will come the time, and it's not going to take long, where a natural separation is going to take place. A natural separation. The ones that are able to read the signs, that are able to go with what is happening, to adapt to the changes this world is bringing to us, they will move on to another world. Other people that are unwilling, unable, you may be incapable of adapting to the coming changes. It is simple like this. They will stay with the old world which is about to end. An eagle flies at a certain altitude, and the only other bird that flies at that altitude is another eagle. So if he finds himself flocking with pigeons, he may be flying too low. One of the things limiting you from your income, your impact, a world-class life. You care too much about what people think about you. You can be world-class. You can fit in with the world. You don't get to do both. One thing I've learned is everyone has an opinion. Why let the opinions of other people deny you from a life that will make history? This is my question to you. When are you going to free yourself? How long are you going to stay in this pain expecting change to happen in your life? How long are you going to stay in this situation expecting things to change in your life? You've been here for the last year, the last 5 years, the last decade, staying in the same mess, accepting the same mess, and wondering why you're stressed, wondering why you're not happy, wondering why you're not fulfilled, wondering why you're not experiencing the light that you deserve to experience. When are you going to free yourself from the pain? When are you going to free yourself from settling for less? Because I want to tell you right now, you don't have to accept it. I know you know that, but I need you to feel that. Understand that you don't got to accept it. You don't have to stay where you're just tolerated and not celebrated. You don't have to stay where you're not happy. You don't have to stay where you're not being better. You don't have to stay where you're suffering. You can free yourself from it. It's our darkness that brings us closer to one another. It's all the shared broken pieces of our souls. Don't be ashamed of your darkness. All the mistakes that you've made have made you. Redemption is always on the other side of a moment. Every passing moment is another chance to turn it all around. Keep fighting. Don't go gently into that good night. For as long as you are here, hope dies last. Someone who does not acknowledge the dark side of themselves and who is only good because that's all that they know how to be and that's all that they know of themselves is not really a good person because they're only doing what they know, versus someone who's delved into the darkness of humanity, the pain of it, the despair of it, and then chooses to be good and chooses to do something. That's the true good person, right? That's the person we're all aspiring to be. Not someone who's ignored the pain, but someone who has chosen to do something with the pain. You have to learn to select your thoughts the same way that you select your clothes every day. Now that's a power that you can cultivate, because if you can't master your thoughts, you're in trouble forever. The gods envy us. They envy us because we're mortal, because any moment might be our last. Everything's more beautiful because we're doomed. You will never be lovelier than you are now. We will never be here again. The Persian poet Rumi once wrote, "What hurts you blesses you. Darkness is your candle. Everything in life is trying to teach you something. You just have to pay attention. You've got to be ready to change your life." No one said this was going to be easy. You have to keep on keeping on. You think life was meant for the weak. It wasn't. It never was. I'm telling you, just keep on going. And then climbed back out. That's why we have hero stories, right? There's always the hero has to go through down into hell and then climb back up. And that's what we admire. That's what we respect. That's what we give dignity to. So if we're not respecting that in ourselves, in our own innate ability to go dark and then climb back out, we're not dignifying ourselves. You've got to be ready to change your life. No one said this was going to be easy. You have to keep on keeping on. So get back up. Make the most of this life you have. You're here. You're here now. The time is always now. Nothing in this life lasts. Even our troubles. Keep going, my friend. Just keep going. In the end, it's all going to be all right. And if it's not, then it's not the end. Please just keep going. And really ask yourself that question. What is it essentially that you are looking for living this life, regardless of how old you are right now, how much of where you want to go, Did you achieve already? And also, are you actually still finding yourself on the way to wherever you wanted to go? So first of all, before we even know which future direction you would like to go towards, number one is we need to know where are we actually standing right now. Another way of finding happiness internally, of finding everything that you need inside of you, rather than outside from other people or just outside in the world, externals, is to also find responsibility there. So your responsibility is not to anyone or anything outside of you, but inside of you. Because we often have this idea, like animals do, or like children sometimes do, that if no one saw it, it's fine. If we didn't get caught, it's okay. The judge inside of us is constantly watching because it's us. It's within us. Adversity is the worst, right? Experiencing fortune's habit, as Seneca put it, of behaving however she pleases is brutal, right? Exiles, illnesses, financial setbacks, shipwrecks, floods, and famines. These types of reverses are bad, right? They don't have to be. Let's also say that change is neither good nor bad. It simply is. It can be greeted with terror or joy, a tantrum that says, I want it the way it was, or a dance that says, look, something new. But the Stoics knew that it was more than just a game of perception. It's what you do about it. It's how you respond. You choose to see the events of life neither good nor bad, just objective, just reality. Yes, that's part one. But part two is the most important. It's the making them good. It's seeing it not just as new, but as a new opportunity, and then making good on it. As Stockdale said, making it something that in retrospect, you would never have traded away. Someone said, we have two primary choices in life. We can either accept conditions as they exist, or we can take the responsibility to change them. See, a lot of people want to exempt themselves from taking responsibility. All they want to do is talk about the problem. Every time you see them, they'll tell you their story over and over and over and over again. No. You want to take responsibility for your life. I got me here. I can get me out of this. And I'm getting out. I'm not going to be a volunteer victim. So your laziness is something that has to do with you. You're not connected to something deep enough. You don't feel the necessity. You don't feel the devil at your heels. You don't feel the fact that you could very well die tomorrow that will impel you to get something done. There's no necessity behind it. And the human animal, the way we were created, is when we feel pressure, we feel the necessity to get things done. We can move mountains. But when that pressure, almost like a barometric pressure, releases and we don't feel the need to get something done, we could become incredibly lazy because there's no necessity. So you have to create necessity in your life. You have to create the need to get things done. You have to give yourself deadlines. You have to remind yourself that tomorrow everything could go kapow. You could be fired, you could die, you could have an illness. Give yourselves a sense of urgency that I need to get things done. You think everybody else was going to die, not you. You kind of consciously know, but you live like you got time. I'll get around to being happy. I'll get around to making it happen. I'll get around once things are in place. Then I'm really going to dial it in. You don't think you're going to die, begin we. You're going to start to get after it. Want to ask you a question. What are your fears? What are you scared of? Something that's blocking us, that's holding us back. Some people call fear false evidence appearing real. You acknowledge it. You take it into account and you carry yourself accordingly. There are times that we should proceed with caution, but it's the difference between being stopped by fear. There's a difference between having a fear and the fear having you. You will never feel ready to do things that scare you. You will never feel ready to take that leap. This is where the 5-second rule comes in super handy. So if you are constantly procrastinating, you probably have a bias towards thinking, and you can use the 5-second rule to literally push yourself to take action. All you're going to do is count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Counting backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 requires you to focus. This is a starting ritual that interrupts the patterns of overthinking, of fear, of anxiety, of procrastination. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. And here's the real secret to this. The second you started counting, you actually made a decision to change. Listen, everything we think comes into existence. So only think things that you want to come into existence. How you think creates how you feel. How you feel becomes an emotion. That emotion becomes a vibration. That vibration becomes a magnet that attracts things to you. The truth is you'll never have it all figured out. And that's okay. The only thing that matters is that you start, even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect. The only way to make progress is to take that first step, even if you don't know where the second one will lead. Perfection is about control, about seeking something that is impossible to hold on to. But progress is about moving forward. It's about learning, growing, stumbling, and getting back up. Progress is messy, raw, imperfect, and beautiful all at once. It's about taking action even when you're unsure. The people who achieve great things are not the ones who waited until everything was flawless. They're the ones who were willing to move forward even when they weren't ready. They acted. They made mistakes. They learned from them, and each small step, each decision, each action, however imperfect, added up over time. They didn't worry about getting everything perfect. They just focused on getting better. And that's the key. Progress isn't about reaching perfection. It's about becoming better than you were yesterday. Every day is an opportunity to grow, to evolve, to take one more step forward, even when it feels like progress is slow, because the small, consistent efforts you make today are what build the foundation for tomorrow's success. There's freedom in progress. It's about giving yourself permission to grow without needing to have everything perfect. It's about embracing the discomfort of starting before you're ready, of taking that first step, even if you don't have the whole plan figured out. You don't need the perfect blueprint. You just need the courage to move forward. Perfection keeps you stuck in a dream world, one where everything is idealized and nothing real can ever happen. It's a world of waiting for the right conditions, the right opportunity, the right timing. But progress forces you to deal with reality. It forces you to confront where you are, accept that you're not perfect, and keep moving anyway. Life isn't about creating a perfect image of yourself. It's about growing into the best version of who you already are. And that growth doesn't come from waiting. It comes from doing. It comes from learning, through doing, through failing, through adjusting, and through keeping your focus on progress, not perfection. In the end, it's not about being perfect. It's about being better than you were yesterday. Each day you get one step closer to the person you're becoming. Not because everything aligns perfectly, but because you keep moving forward despite the imperfections. The road will never be perfect. The plan will never be flawless. The conditions will never be ideal, but the magic happens when you start anyway. The moment you stop waiting for the perfect time is the moment you begin to create your own opportunities. So stop waiting. Stop trying to make it all perfect. Start moving. Start doing. Start learning. Let go of the idea that everything needs to be flawless, and instead embrace the mess, the progress, the beautiful imperfect journey. Because progress, not perfection, is what gets you where you want to go. Every step, every effort, every imperfect action you take brings you closer to the version of yourself that you've always dreamed of becoming. Perfection is an illusion. Progress is reality. So, focus on moving forward, no matter how small the steps, because the person you want to be is out there waiting for you, just on the other side of every imperfect action you take today. And all of us have this conflict going on at all times inside of us. And it's between two forces. And the first force is your survival instinct that's been with us for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years. This instinct injects into you fear and doubt and worry and anxiety, fight or flight, and that's your voice of fear and your inner critic, and that's really loud. That voice is in your mind all the time. And then there's another voice, this second voice. And that voice has been written about and talked about by philosophers for thousands of years. And that voice has been called many names. It's been called your intuition. That voice is a little quieter. And that voice isn't in your head. A lot of times it shows up in your body. It shows up in your heart, your gut, your chest. You feel that. And unfortunately, that first voice really drowns it out a lot of times. And the thing is that the voice of fear will lead you to a life that's too small. And you know this. You already know this. And the way that you know this is you feel this. You feel this conflict, this dissonance and tension when you're in that position, when you're doing something that's too small. If you want to reach full power in this one life of yours, it's in the second voice. It's in the voice that's the real you. So if your false identity says that you're a loser, you're a deadbeat, you're not deserving, you're a failure, you're not worthy, you will find evidence in the world to reinforce that. If your identity then says, I'm a winner, I'm deserving, I deserve happiness, abundance, joy, success, then I will always find evidence in the world to find that. It starts off with rewriting your story. Be specific about how you want your life to look in the categories that matter. Write down specifically what you want your life to look like. And then once you write that down, determine what are the habits that this month needs to have in order to bring that story to life. When you bring that story to life, the false identity sheds and the new identity is developed. It's a long grind and it's totally worth it because it's not about where you get, it's about who you become in the process of getting there. And when you quit, you'll never meet that person. The hard part of quitting is not just that you lost your dream. That's bad. Worse is you're never going to meet the man or woman you could have been had you pursued it. But what is even way better than you think it will be is who you become in the process of getting there and being proud of you. And I could tell you the things you'd be most proud of is the fact that you lasted, is the fact that you got up after you fell, is the fact you say, you know what, I did stumble, but I'm getting back. I'm getting back up. I lasted. I'm tough. I'm resilient. I'm mentally tough. I innovated. I pivoted. I improved. I grew. I fought. I clawed. I competed. I won. That's way better than you think it is. It's way better, man. Remember that when I almost quit? Remember that time I was down for a while? Remember when that person said this? Remember when that happened? Man, that one would have knocked anybody down. Remember when that person stole from me? Remember when that person did this to me? Just so you know, everything you think will probably happen, probably will, and worse. And that's what makes it so sweet when you last. Live your life at full power, and I believe that that power is already inside you right now, and that the way to access that power is through your second voice. And your second voice is not just the path to accessing that power, but it will also show you where to direct it, to have the biggest impact that you're going to have in this world. That voice speaks to you in the language of energy. That's how you know what it's saying. So go toward that energy and make a promise that you will constantly move in the direction of the thing that gives you energy. Particularly the thing you knew you would do if you knew you wouldn't fail. That voice wants you to go all in. I want you to experience yourself at full.